It was like mouth Olympics. For the first like 2 weeks leading into the first day of shooting, I had really bad TMJ because I think I was having like just physical manifestations of fear, genuine fear of failure, and kind of just what the whole thing was gonna be as an experience was gonna be cold and heavy and long.
Hi, I'm Pablo Larraín. I'm the director of Spencer.
Hi, I'm Kristen Stewart, and this is how we found our way into the character of Princess Diana.
We'd set up a list of ideas, books, and articles that we all had. So that was the start of the process. But then Kristen went way further and started reading a lot more. And ultimately, I believe that each of us had a kind of a different approach and process. I had a longer one because I've been with the movie for longer than Kristen, but when Kristen got in, I think yours was very intense too. So I won't speak for you, but I think there are many ways to get into the character. And what I think is fascinating is that after reading, after watching movies and documentaries, and of course The Crown and other things, and after making the movie, I think that I don't really know who she really was. And that is a very interesting thing for a movie because it just you can't really capture her.
The amount of research to sift through is vast. And I think initially we had conversations about it not being paramount to our experience, knowing every detail and he said, she said kind of things, because at some point we did have a conversation about it becoming too much, that it would start to weigh you down, trying to encompass everything at once when what we're doing is kind of living in the in-between. And the grayness and the ambiguity and the emotion of her and kind of what she instills in people in a more vague sense, because I think that all of those details are well covered, and actually as a cumulative memory that our society has of her, anyone watching the movie, you bring all the things that you know about her to the film. We know she died in a car accident tragically, way too young. At the end of the movie, that's all anyone's thinking about. We don't need to say it. There are so many things that we don't need to say. So when he was like, dude, you don't have to read absolutely everything, just like get into her, absorb her emotionally. I just wanted to sort of find as many, I became enthralled with the story, admittedly in every way that everyone has across the world. You know, the royal family has endured our curiosities forever, and I was totally wrapped up in that. I couldn't stop reading. I couldn't stop reading all the sort of things that went against each other and all the contradictions and different impressions of her. It wasn't about being any type of authority on her life. It was just about feeling as close to her as possible and just feeling like there were certain things that made me laugh, made me angry, made me cry, and they were all kind of attached to things that I learned about her, or stories, anecdotes that I heard, moments of her in interviews where you just feel like you can see her. Yeah, just kind of became obsessed. But the actual preparation of, like the actual acting of her, there's no way to describe why or how. It was just sort of like, okay, script's really good, just go give it a shot.
Also, what helped me a lot, I don't know about you, but it was seeing pictures of her. I think her relationship with fashion, it's very interesting and speaks about herself too. I think the way that she wore certain things and when and how is very interesting. And
she's communicating with those clothes. She's trying to reach out and like cryptically say lots of things all the time.
And the use of color, and something that we discussed with Jacqueline Duran a lot, it was how she would choose certain colors for certain occasions. And that was so interesting. And it's something that is more internal, that is not, you can't really talk about it because it's like music and colors.
And we can't even know for sure. It's like, it would be so fun to be able to be like, the day that you wore that red Chanel, did you feel like you needed to be strong that day? I would love to be able to know like what her team was talking about behind closed doors, being like, we got you, babe. We're gonna get you ready. You're gonna look killer. We're gonna send you out there. And she's like, okay, I think I need to wear the thing that makes me feel the best. You know what I mean?
But she would wear red for church.
Right.
She would go on black for certain occasions. She would be on light blue to have a walk. The combination, she was always creating a contrast with the situation and how she were, and that speaks a lot.
You can feel that it's reactive, that it's not just arbitrary.
Yeah. And it's so incredible. That's part of her sort of perspective. It's so interesting.
Your Royal Highness.
Mummy.
Family are all gathered in the drawing room. They are waiting.
I got lucky because those kids are wonderful and sweet and open and smart. They were really excited to be with us, and they know more about the royal family than I do. I think they're from there and they're kind of steeped in that culture, and so they brought a lot of their own personally embedded connection to the story, which was really interesting. They improvised a little bit in the scene with the candlelight in the most impressive and astute way that almost it feels like you're like, whoa, this writing, I mean, this is gonna seem so self-aware, but actually it's really interesting to imagine be self-referential, because I'm sure that at some point people like that do have the conversations that you imagine they might have, like, do you actually want to be the king? Do you want to be the queen? Those questions are, in a hypothetical world where we're allowed to dream about these people that we fantasize about, it's just so interesting to be like, wow, they probably did have that conversation at some point together, you know? So in working with them, like I had a lot of help from Pablo. I'm intimidated by kids. I'm the youngest in my family. I don't have them yet. He's just good. I don't know, you're chill and cute and good with them. And so I was like, we became friends. We all became friends really quickly. And I think we all wanted to love each other, and it worked. It just worked.
3 days. That's it.
It was like mouth Olympics. For the first like 2 weeks leading into the first day of shooting, I had really bad TMJ because I think I was having like just physical manifestations of fear, genuine fear of failure, and kind of just what the whole thing was gonna be as an experience was gonna be cold and heavy and long. The way that she speaks is so loaded. Her casual, sort of disarming, quick fire, flitty, buoyant, bubbly voice. Sometimes behind that is this shaky, broken, damaged thing that you're like, those things do not go together. It's such a complicated way of expressing, because she was never really in a position to freely and very honestly just say what is. Whenever me and William sat down and watched her, we were always trying to figure out, like, sure, she's saying that, but what is she feeling, and what is she we were just trying to sort of solve the puzzle of her, which is impossible, but she speaks so quickly sometimes. Sometimes her voice is locked inside of her body, and sometimes it feels like it floats in front of her like air. Like there are so many different ways that she spoke, whether she was in private, in public, doing an interview, talking to fans, talking to a family member. Like her voice changed so often. I think there was so much to absorb when watching her. It wasn't like, you can't just, I mean, it's easy to do like your best Diana by putting your chin down and kind of opening your eyes really wide and saying like, no, but the hardest stuff is when she's rattling off, or when she's angry, or when she's laughing. To laugh as another person. The thing that everyone says about her that knew her is that it erupted from somewhere inside of her that felt like completely untouchable and spontaneous, and just like suddenly it would come out of nowhere and no one else would be laughing, and she would just be like kind of cackling in the room. And there's like a manic energy to her at times that feels kind of wild, and like you don't know what's gonna happen, and there's no way to play all of those things at once. In the first few days of filming, he had to come up to me and say like, you have to relax. Like you can't try and shove everything you've learned about this person or everything that you like about her into one moment. It needs to all of these things need to find themselves naturally throughout the next 3 months. And I think kind of when I let go of the research is when it started to just kind of, by default, find its way into my body.
But it was very impressive from the very beginning. I remember putting my headphones down after some takes and looking to William, our other coach, and I was like, and it made me actually nervous at some point when she was so into it. I was so spot on, as you say. And we actually started making fun of certain ideas and lines. And we're not going to repeat it here, but it was incredible to see, and it's just so beautiful.
The one joke that I will say, like, obviously it's a slippery slope to make fun of this woman, but I was making fun of myself the whole time. It was just, Diana, you have to stop wandering the grounds. Like, I was just wandering the grounds for 3 months, and I was like, Pablo, we need to go inside. Like, we have to stop. Diana, go home and get some sleep.
It's papas, that's it.
It's Papa's.
It's
Yeah.
Papa's.
This is bad. Yeah.
That's so good.
Mummy, what's happened to make you so sad?
Well, here, in this house, there is no future. Past and the present are the same thing.
Diana, they can't change. You have to change. You have to be able to do things you hate.
You hate.
There has to be two of you. There's the real one and the one they take pictures of. Diana, for the good of the country.